Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Iblis Manifestations Podcast. This channel features lengthy off-limits conversations with various different artists and entrepreneurs, predominantly from the underground metal scene. We take deep dives into the topics of life, music, spirituality, and take insight from a variety of thought-provoking perspectives from personalities who you don't often hear from in a mainstream settings. I am your host, Cheyenne, and I was originally born and raised in Iran and currently reside in the UK. I am the frontman and founding member of the black death metal band Trivex, who have been active since 2009. The band originally started in the Islamic Republic of Iran, where such type of music is banned as well as a punishable offense. You can check the band's pages for any updates on tour dates as well as new music. I am also a personal trainer and an online fitness coach who specializes in people achieving the best versions of themselves physically and mentally. Having been someone who was once extremely out of shape and overweight, I find it to be my duty to be able to pass on the information and knowledge which I've gained to help others achieve the same transformation. The Iblis Manifestations Podcast also features a variety of solo episodes where I discuss personal experiences and anecdotes in a very candid fashion, covering everything from mental health, spirituality, philosophy, and even paranormal experiences. This is the Iblis Manifestations Podcast. To support it, be sure to subscribe to the channel and visit the link in the descriptions.
It's great talking to you, Cheyenne, really. And best of luck to your endeavors for this podcast. I think it's a great initiative.
You're my favorite person to talk to for interviews and stuff. So I love what you're espousing out here. I love the knowledge and the perspectives that you're curating through this, and I'm just so honored to be a part of it. Thank you.
As I told you, it was one of the most interesting interviews I've ever had, because we talk a lot more things than just music, and I really appreciated that.
I respect you deeply, and it's an honor to be here.
And friends, remember as always, better to die on your feet than to live on your knees. Enjoy the podcast.
Okay, I'm quite pleased that we got this fucking hole in the wall as well.
Vandalism, my friend.
Absolutely. Wall punches.
That was you, right?
It was me, yeah. I actually used my elbow, not my fist.
Oh, this is the room, okay.
Yeah.
Just walked in.
Yeah, absolutely. Phil, my man, it's really nice to have you back on Iblis Manifestations. Long overdue return, I should add to that. Yeah. Looking forward to the show tonight?
Yeah, I am. We just did sound check, and yeah, it all sounds good. We've had a long drive to get here. It's always a weird one, doing a one-off show rather than like a set number of shows or a tour or whatever. You know, it's kind of.
I get that. Yeah.
You have that transition period from real life into okay, now let's go and do the thing we know we love to do best. Mm-hmm. So, but I think I'm over that now. I've done the sound check. Everything is taken care of. So,
sure.
Yeah, so I can just look forward to this drink or have fun, whatever. I'm gonna drink coffee for now.
Yeah, that's more my kind of jam, as you know. Yeah, I like a cup of coffee.
Strong black coffee.
Yeah.
Especially if it's from a cheap hotel room. That's the best.
Yeah. Oh man, there's something about that, you know, when it's like 6:30 p.m. and then you're just having a shitty coffee, but then it feels good because it's free, you know.
It's free.
And it's a coffee. There's like a statement in the fact that you're drinking the fucking coffee.
I think I need to pick me up. Do you drink black coffee, right?
I drink a lot, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like my lattes. I like black coffee.
I just like black coffee.
Yeah, it's great.
Bit of sugar. But it's okay if there's no sugar. That's okay. We can handle it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just black coffee.
Yeah. No, there's something to it. I think it's kind of like a personal statement, you know. It's like
yeah.
I'm raw dog in life. You know?
Raw dog and coffee.
Yeah.
I've got some sugar in it, so I'm a poser, but yeah.
It's cool, man. It sounded great when I was watching you guys sound check. You know, definitely it sounds a lot fuller. Have you had a couple of lineup changes in the band?
Yes, probably since you last saw us. Yeah, we have a new drummer who I used to play in a band with many years ago.
Right.
Well, actually, our drummer Ed is on All Pain as Penance as well. So he's on a Crown of Curses and All Pain as Penance. So he's already recorded 2 albums with Abduction.
Cool. Those were your first 2?
Second and third, yeah.
Second and third, okay.
The first one's just me, but yeah. So he joined the band last year because we just kind of went separate ways with Adam, who plays drums on Black Blood. No hard feelings. But yeah, he's got a new energy, fresh energy. You know what it's like when you kind of find the right person and you're like, fuck, that's where it is, that's where it needs to be. Yeah, and then also on bass, Dan is playing bass for us. Dan did the Bolzer tour with us, so he's no stranger to Abduction.
Oh, I was going to say, I recognize Dan.
Yeah. So,
because I think that's when I last saw you guys live was at Fortress, but also during the Bolzer tour as well. I came to the Derby show for that.
Oh yeah.
I was one of
Tuesday night.
Yeah, I was one of 18 people. It's such a shame down there because it's like it's a fucking great venue, but it's like every time I've either played there or attended, it's just like
I've been to some really, really good shows there, but they're few and far between. But that was a Tuesday night. Bolzer, on a Tuesday night in Derby. I actually put that show on, but because no one else would take the Tuesday night. So I was like, look, we can do something here. It won't be good. It'll be empty, but we're doing a show rather than not doing a show. That was the reason behind that. But so new lineup. Everyone in the band at the moment, apart from Dan, for the first time, has recorded on the new album. So
that's cool.
Normally it's just me and then whoever's playing drums at the moment, but Alex and both guitarists, the bass and the drums are done by the people who play them. So
are they creatively contributing as well, or just recording?
No, they're just playing. Okay,
live. So it's got the live feel of how you.
Yeah. But I think I owe it to those guys too. They've been backing me as a live band for enough years now. So
like 5 years now. 5 or 6 years.
It's a live band, yeah. Something like it's like 7 or 8 years of Abduction. But
well, I remember we played together back in, we probably talked about this last time, but just for anyone who doesn't know, we first played together in Birmingham. It was Abduction, Trivex and Necronautical at the Hammer and Anvil. Tiny ass fucking venue, which is, it's different now, it's like some kind of sports
Sunday night,
place.
I think it was.
Yes, Sunday night, because us and Necronautical played in Manchester the night before.
I played in Plymouth the night before with Absinthe.
Oh, sick.
So I was like, was it that show? Yeah, I think I had like a 5-hour drive and then a train and so.
And I remember. I mean, you still had long hair, and then you just showed up with like one guitar. I was like, "Hi."
And then used your amp. Yeah.
You sounded great
about this last time.
No, it sounded great because you had the SG guitar, and it was a pretty unique thing. I was like, oh fucking hell! Finally,
Mm-hmm.
someone in UK actually playing nice riffs that I kind of actually want to hear.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, you know what it's like when you've made something, you've created something. I don't know if it's art or music or whatever, but you've created something and you just have to get it out there somehow. And it's like, well, I'm not waiting around to go through the months and months of like, do you want to play bass? Do you want to play drums? Blah blah blah. I'll just do it. No one else is doing it that way. I'll just do it. So that worked for a while. But yeah, I mean, fast forward, we've long accomplished full live band now, and that's kind of how it will be. But yeah, I can't believe I used to play some of those shows by myself. It's pretty weird turning up to a black metal show by yourself.
But the thing is, it wasn't
nothing else, just guitar and a backing track.
Yeah, because you did Bloodstock on your own as well. You did the Jägermeister stage, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was kind of like, I think maybe like where a lot of people first really got to hear about Abduction.
Yeah, it was around the second album. That fucking tent was so full as well. It was like, I just, I kind of don't really look at anybody when I was playing guitar as well.
I mean, you can't.
Exactly. But then like there was a moment I looked up and I could just see a sea of people. Like you see the edge of the tent there, and it's just like people crowded towards the tent, but like beyond it, and you can't see where it ends. I'm like, fucking hell, it's just me on stage. Yeah. It's pretty crazy. But so I had to just take it as far as I can. And that's the hell.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think I did that because I looked at it. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
No, you were spreading your arms. I looked at it and then it came out. That happens with me.
Yeah.
So
telekinesis.
Yeah, something like that. That's cool, man. And then when you went back there, that's when you had the full band, which was 2021. Because I remember seeing you there as well.
Yeah, just around the time Black Blood came out, or was it just before? I can't remember now. It was around that time we played songs off Black Blood. And that was the New Blood. But yeah, I mean, we've done so much since then. So we've been around Europe like twice, or we've been to Europe 3 or 4 times, but. Been on,
we're doing Spain together soon.
We are.
Fucking hell, what a lineup. Jesus.
That's fucking Barbarian and Blasphemy.
Bro, I would have sold my kidney to attend that show, let alone get asked to go play it.
Yeah, I know.
It's cool.
And it's like, so you've gone from the Dog and Duck on a Sunday night, playing first by yourself with Trivax, borrowing equipment. And then fast forward a few years and we're playing with Beherit. So.
Oh yeah, I like how playing with Trivex is the fucking downgrade there. Thanks, bro.
No. We both made that journey, my friend.
I'm kidding. No, it's really fucking cool. I think we're on Friday and then you guys are on Saturday. I don't know.
You're on Friday?
Are you?
I know, we're Saturday, but I thought you were Saturday as well.
No, we're on Friday.
Ah, okay. Yeah. We're there all weekend anyway, so we'll
Same. We got fucking all 3 days. Bro, it's gonna be a fucking blast, you know. Really, really excited.
I've never been to Barcelona, so I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, it will be a mega party, I'm sure.
And Blasphemy. Like, I was happy with just that, you know.
Herit and Blasphemy.
This is the thing. Like,
how are we having, where are we now?
I love it. The thing is, like, it's cool to play all the festivals, you know, whether it's like Bloodstock or, I don't know, like Frantic Fest or, you know, Walpurgisnacht in Germany and all these different places. It's fucking cool. It's like, this lineup is like tailored perfectly, you know, like if you wanted me to like say like what's my kind of lineup, it would be exactly this. And it's kind of bizarre that it's happening in Spain of all places as well, you know, because it's like last time you kind of saw that was the Nuclear War Festival in Berlin, Japan.
Japan.
I know they obviously did the Berlin one as well. That was December 2023, I think. But yeah, it's just an honor to fucking play it, man, you know, and
we're definitely going to be in good company and in a wonderful location. So you know, I guess.
Have you been there before?
No, I've not been to Barcelona, but I think it's like. Am I getting confused? Is it with Fortaleza? Is it on that?
I don't think it's that venue.
No,
I don't think it's that venue because I think the promoter said he's like splitting it into like 2 different events.
Okay, well, either way, Barcelona's a cool city.
It is.
And we're in a good position, man. We're both in good positions. It's great.
It's nice.
So by then the album will be out and people will be able to hear the whole thing. And, you know, I'm so like. I'm not anxious, that's not the right word, but I'm so like pent up and frustrated because I normally work on music and then get it out real quick. Like it's normally a couple of months. You're like, right, done, next thing.
I get that.
It's just how I work. And the first 3 albums were like 1 album a year and with a few splits and things in between and stuff. So I'm always working on stuff. But this was recorded over a year ago, which is I know for most bands like that's not necessarily a long time, but for me that's a fucking long time. So I've been sat on all this material for so long.
Well, it's a very tough feeling.
Just at the point now because it comes out at end of Feb, mid-Feb, end of Feb.
Is it? Okay.
So it's like really, it's just boiling point now. I'm like, just get it out already.
Yeah.
People are asking, and I want to fucking put it. It's there.
Because you announced it quite early as well, compared to when it's actually coming out. Then.
Yeah, and I think that's because of the Christmas break and stuff. You know,
makes sense.
Christmas shutdown with all the magazines and everything. So that's what the label decided was best. We've had all sorts of delays and things. It was supposed to be out like kind of autumn time, but yeah.
I relate to what you're saying with that, though, you know, because we kind of went through that before. It's kind of like you get artistic blue balls, you know?
That's a good fucking phrase. It's exactly what it is.
Because it's like...
My balls are blue, my friend.
Good to know. No, because it's like, I mean, for our last album, you know, just as a point of, you know, so you can relate to it, like, LOR Burns Out was recorded in 2019.
Oh, right. Okay.
And it was mixed and mastered in 2019. Didn't come out till 2023. Ultimately, it worked out because the video did well, and then we got a great bunch of stuff from it. But it was a rough time because it was like you're trying to like this is how I look at it, you know, when it's like you're talking to people because you know what you're capable of, but they don't know yet.
They haven't seen it yet.
And that feeling sucks because it's like you can only show them what's already been out before, and you know you're better than what came out before.
You can't prove a potential.
Exactly.
You have to prove like with results and actions. Yeah, I mean, no, you're absolutely right. And artistic blue balls is probably the right phrase. That's your little subtitle for the episode.
That's the name of the episode. Yeah.
Episode number whatever.
And it helps that you've got a blue album cover as well.
Yeah, blue is and there's a song in German. It's Blaue ist die Farbe der Ewigkeit, which is blue is the color of eternity. So that's
cool.
In German.
What does that mean? Where does that come from? Why is blue the color of eternity? I'm intrigued by that.
Yeah, so I wanted to lean into my German heritage a little bit on this album, which is why it's called Existentialismus instead of Existentialist or something.
Existentialismus.
So it's just like the German version of the word. And the song title it kind of comes from something I was reading on Reddit a long time ago, which came from an Alan Watts quote. So it's sort of like a derivative of a philosophical idea, but so it's the idea that all existence is water. Basically, it's a metaphor that all existence is water, and water will always go back to its lowest point to join itself. So you and I, as we exist, in fact, I didn't put this here as a proper promise, but that's you, and when you exist, that's the water in the glass. Okay. And water is blue, obviously, mostly.
And when you're gone, the glass disappears. The water goes back to the ocean that it already came from.
Correct. We just go back to the bigger ether, the bigger body of water.
Now you're talking my language. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what we played at sound check. I promise I didn't plan this, but but that's what we played at sound check, and so that's going to be the next single as well. Actually, Jack's just done a video for it at the minute. Cool. But that's from an Alan Watts, sort of from an Alan Watts quote.
All existence is water.
Yeah. I am, you are, all is within the glass.
Yeah. Well, I like it when there's always like an extra layer to it, you know. And that idea, I always observe the idea of the consciousness as the same thing, you know, as is that you got this giant web, and then the consciousness is something, it's like a little lump that kind of grows out of a general web, still connected to the web, and life is the controlling force of that lump being a thing, and as soon as life is gone, that energy just goes back to where it came from.
Yeah, it's the same idea. It's a different metaphor, but I think
relating that to water is actually a beautiful thing, because it actually explains it quite well.
We all understand the glass and the water concept.
Sure.
I mean, there's a few ideas on the record, but I mean it's almost like it's almost a stoic quote, really. It's it leans into the control what you can control, don't try and control what you can't control. That sort of idea, really. Is
there anything that you've personally been struggling with controlling, why you were inspired by this particular topic?
I think not specifically.
So I know we talked a little bit about the direction of, not incidents, but like the direction of the world and society. I think we both have some concerns.
I mean, just as a father, I just worry about the future. I think it's a natural thing to worry about the future, because my child's place in it, which is all of these songs are kind of linked to that worry, and that it's sort of like I sort of very often feel like I'm an observer to the obliteration of planet Earth. You know what I mean? I'm kind of looking at like things going down the pan, but I try not to catastrophize everything. I try and be balanced, but there is so much weighted in the other direction that it's impossible not to feel like, fuck, we're on the brink of World War III. The technological revolution's gonna AI and everything is quite scary. I've got a 10-year-old boy, so let's just think in 10 years' time, what does the internet look like in 10 years' time? What does politics and global left and right and all that kind of thing, what does that look like in 10 years' time? What does it look like in 20 years' time? What does it look like in 30 years' time when I'm an old man and he's raising a family himself? All of these questions kind of tumble on each other, and it's the album's just me kind of trying to piece all that together, really. Yeah. I don't want to write music that's just about Satan.
It's just fucking boring.
I don't have any issue with that. I like a lot of those bands, but I think I made a conscious effort, or a subconscious effort this time round for it to be more human and based on more kind of human reactions and emotions. I think the greatest art is when it's a reaction to something in real life.
I totally fucking agree to that.
And that's the same anywhere. I think the best examples of art throughout history are when it's kind of a mirror or an iteration of something in real life. So it's pretty pretentious, but that's all I know. That's all I know how to do.
I don't think it's pretentious at all.
It would be more kind of pretentious and facetious of me to kind of go to put corpse paint on and go, "Hail Satan, kill yourself for the devil," kind of.
It's pretty lame. I think
there's nothing wrong with that. People can do it.
No, I think you know what? I'm at that stage where I'm like, there is something wrong with that. You're a fucking idiot. You know?
No, you might have a problem in Barcelona when you see a few corpse painted faces. But I mean, I don't want to do that.
Fair enough.
I think there's more of an emotional connection, and I don't mean anything like emo or anything kind of pop culture or anything like that. I just a human emotional connection to something that is related to something real. It's obvious to me. Which,
as far as I'm concerned, I think surpasses all of those kind of pop culture elements anyway.
Yeah.
The way I look at it is this, I'm really glad to hear that first of all, and I'm happy to know that authenticity exists there. Not saying I ever question it, it's just nice to know, because and I'll obviously unpack some of those things, that's topics that you mentioned about like World War III and culture and all these things, but just stripping it down to the mere point of what the fuck even is the point of playing black metal. Okay, if you're gonna go through these shows, if you're gonna stay at shitty hotel rooms with fucking wall punches, and barely make any money from it, pay a physical receipt for it, pay an even bigger mental receipt for it, go through all these things, and it's not just you, but you also have a responsibility towards other people's time who invest in the band, who buy the merch, who listen to your music. To me, I feel that responsibility, and the only way to make that worthwhile is to be authentic and honest.
Yeah.
So if you're doing that just to imitate others, just to copy something someone else did, just for a temporary ego boost or or gratification, I think it's such a bastardization of what this genre and this underground cultural movement is capable of.
Yeah.
So I think that's great to hear.
Yeah.
Now, regarding some of those things that you said with World War III and and your kids, you said he's 10 years old now. Okay?
Yeah. It's a big milestone, that, because 10 years ago I was sat in a fucking hospital room going, what the fuck is going to happen here? You know what I mean?
Sure.
And 10 years forward, you're like, okay, there's some things have been established. I've raised a good human so far. I've done the best I can. We've done the best we can, me and my partner, and that's fine. But you start looking ahead a little bit and going, like I say, 10 years, 20 years. Those are the questions. You've got through the bottom bit, the start of the story. Where does the story go next?
Well, I had similar worries because I was like, I don't have any kids at the moment, but it is something that I strive for, and I think that, like I said to you earlier, I think everyone should, even if they don't get the chance to do it, at least prepare to be a parent, because why? That's the pathway of you becoming the best version of yourself. So I think that that's one of the best ways that you can do it. So what do I mean by that is, no, not everyone should have kids. Definitely not. You can see why they shouldn't, first of all. But what I'm saying is, being a caring, loving parent who's got shit in order and under control, that's probably the pathway of you being the best version of yourself. Doesn't mean you have to literally do it, but at the very least, as as a moral and as a target of discipline is the best way, I think, to achieve. It's like a great template,
Yeah.
And I've had the same worry where I'm like, okay, maybe I can raise my kid well, but then they're gonna have to go out and mix with the other kids out there. And then that's where you start to worry. So I actually even as someone who's not yet a parent, totally fucking relate to that concern. And you also teach at a school, so you deal with kids all the time. So perhaps you even have a better, or at least more realistic understanding or perception of where that's actually headed.
Yeah, certainly in the inner cities, I think it's fucked. I think the education system's fucked, and I think we're on the edge of an entire generation of children who have zero attention span, zero desire for learning, and will make poor choices, and that will be extrapolated into them having bad, not being able to look after other people and struggling, all the knock-on effects of the state having to look after them because they can't look after themselves, blah blah blah. I think we're on the edge of something quite scary with that in terms of numbers. What I've done in the last couple of years is I've moved back to my hometown, which is in the countryside, and that's offered a lot of peace, a lot of solace. My son can go to the shop by himself. He's 10. I'll send him off 5-10 minutes down the road to the shop by himself to go and buy some sweets with zero worries.
Yeah.
He has a phone, he has something I can track him on. I can still keep an eye on him, but I'm not worried that someone's gonna kick the shit out of him, or that would never have happened before in the city where I lived, and it's not even a big city where I lived before. But like, there's a big difference there. So I think it is where we kind of populate, and I just fucking hate the city. I don't mind coming to Cardiff for a night, but I really, really just want to be surrounded by green, and I don't want. Yeah, I just want to build a castle and live in the woods. That's what I want to do. That's the ultimate goal, and it goes back to what you're saying about the best discipline, the target of how can I better myself. I just want to look after my family. That's all. I don't give a fuck about egos and black metal. I don't give a fuck about the competition. I know last time one of the last times we spoke, we talked about how the competition of it and stuff a little bit. I remembered that on the way here. I don't give a fuck about that anymore. I'll still make art, and it'll still be a reflection of life. But I'm not interested in playing the fucking rat race, the game. I'm not interested.
It's all fucking smoke and mirrors, man.
It's bullshit.
And the only person you want to, just on that little bracket there, the only person you want to compete against is yourself.
Exactly,
anyway,
exactly.
Yeah. Who gives a shit if your album is the same as what came out in the 90s, or what so-and-so bands, or like, oh, where's my thing on here? No, as long as it's better than your last album, and it, that's what fucking matters.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which is, why I'm like, if you want to sing about Satan, sing about Satan. I don't give a shit, because it doesn't affect me. I know what I like, and that's fine. I've been so out of touch with music, to be honest, the last couple of years. I've really not. I used to be someone who bought records real often and kept up with new releases from certain labels and things. But since we recorded Existentialismus, really last January, so 12 months ago, I've just not give a fuck about music. I've just been outside.
Yeah.
I've just been in the woods. I've been building shelters and shooting animals, and
that sounds brilliant. There you go.
That is something it's become a family thing a little bit, and it's so much better. So I drive to work, and I drive through the fucking hills like this.
Do you hunt your own food?
I have eaten stuff I've shot before. Yeah. I only air rifles. I don't have a firearms license yet. I'm working on it. But squirrels, pigeons, rabbits.
It's nice.
Yeah, it's got pigeons. Delicious.
Feels different.
This is a former vegetarian right here.
What made you change your mind? By the way, I'm not saying when I'm saying
vegetarian.
Sorry to interrupt you, but when I'm saying it's nice, it's not nice killing animals. I love animals.
No, but if you're going to kill an animal, you might as well eat it.
I'm just saying, there's I have a different sort of approach to when it comes to eating organic.
Yeah, there's nothing more organic than killing your own thing and eating it.
Yeah, and it's much more nutritious and healthier. But anyway, so you were a former vegetarian. What changed your mind there?
I was vegetarian for, I think, 12 years. Yeah. That's
a long time.
12, yeah. So all the way through my mid-20s until a couple of years ago. Yeah.
How old are you now?
I'm 37.
Good man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we sort of changed as a family when we moved back to the countryside. I think it's just the influence of farms and hunting stuff around, and it was just kind of like, you can't just get a takeaway vegan meal delivered to your house in 10 seconds for overpriced.
Okay.
You know, you can't do that. It's a little bit harder, and everything's just a bit more. You have to go out and you have to prep things and plan things and go out and get it. I'm not isolated. I'm not like in the hills, but
how do you feel with the
it's
difference?
just not the same as the city. I feel great, yeah. I mean, I'm a little unfit at the minute, but that's Christmas.
Sure.
It's just Christmas.
Oh, no,
I overdone it at Christmas on the cheese and the port and shit, but yeah, I need to get back into running again, really. That's my thing. I'm not a weight trainer, you know, like yourself or anything, but
why not?
I just haven't really done it. I just really enjoy I really enjoy running. I haven't done it for a while now, as you can see. But,
that's cool. Running's great. Yeah.
It's becomes with headphones in, it becomes a meditative state, and
yeah.
It's still bizarre to me, even after doing a bit of running, that like you can, if you walk up the stairs too fast and you become out of breath, you need to sit down. You know. Just generally, I'm talking, whether you're fit or not, you do something a little bit exertive and then all of a sudden you need a rest because you need oxygen.
Sure.
Yeah, you can start a run, you can run for a fucking 5k without stopping, but you don't need to stop for a rest, you know. It's about the mental state and the barriers you put in yourself.
To me, it's always like, you'll understand this from
thing.
running, but it's like, it's just not quitting. So it's
exactly.
when you start,
yeah.
And then that bitch at the back of your brain keeps going like, oh, you should just stop. Oh, just stop and
and catch your breath.
Catch your breath.
If I
and
catch
it's
my breath,
like you ignore it for long enough, you cross the threshold where you're like, you feel like, oh, okay, I only just started now, and then you just keep going, and before you know it, you've done 5k, like you said.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a decent amount, man. Good.
It's just standard stuff. But
I kind of want to come back to the conversation because we're getting into some really good stuff there. So
I have a tendency to go on a tangent. Sorry.
That's fine. We do that here all the time. We've got the time to do it as well. Okay.
Yeah.
This is why we don't do what are your influences fucking kind of conversations. You know. So there's just one point I want to get across, because you know, when you're talking about the future of the world and shit being out of your control and then outside of your kind of reach, you know, because we're talking about control, right?
Yeah, okay.
And I think that's an important part. You know, you need an aspect of control to control your own life, control the safety of your children and your family, and that's not just safety as in, you know, like protecting them from stranger danger, but you know, it's the same as financial safety and emotional safety, all of these things. Okay.
Yeah.
All of which are the responsibility of a man as far as I'm concerned. Okay. Now, I would say that the best way that at least I have learned to interpret and kind of approach the subject when it comes to like shit that's out of my reach and out of my control is to put the focus internally. Okay. So if there's stuff that kind of worries me, if there's anything that I'm kind of like worried about, I'm like, whoa, what are these guys going to do? What's it going to look like when AI fully takes over, which is pretty much on the verge of doing so anyway. Mm-hmm. And it's not going to be a gradual thing like people think. It's kind of gradual, and then boom, it's everything.
Yeah.
I think that the important thing is to just focus on making yourself a stronger, more resilient human being, and just also ultimately at the end of it, have meaning in your life. Add meaning, and that's meaning that you have to fucking work hard for. You have to graft for it sometimes. You have to put some elbow grease into having a meaning to begin with, you know. And I think so many people, especially the younger generation now, you want to talk about it, have very little accountability for their actions, for their dreams, for their hopes, for what they think. A lot of times they don't even think anymore because they just need to be plugged in to be distracted from existence, to just react to things. And I think that for me, one thing that I've kind of learned, you know, because I didn't always used to be this way, you know, and it almost pains me to admit to a certain extent, because I was very rebellious as a young one. I'm rebellious now, but I'm rebellious by means of having, at the very least, a conservative lifestyle. Okay, which is crazy when you realize what the world's actually turned into.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So ultimately, what I'm trying to say there, in a nutshell, is like, if you want to be responsible for more things, or just like make the world a better place, be responsible for yourself. Make yourself a better person.
I think I agree. I mean, the burden of living is only mitigated by taking on responsibility.
Yeah.
I'm a strong believer in that, and that's what you do when you're a parent. You take on responsibility, and this is and you're talking about building up your skill set or your strength or your resilience. Absolutely, that's what I'm doing. That's what I've been doing in the last couple of years. I wouldn't call myself a prepper, but I certainly am prepped. For there's a lot of things around the corner, man. You don't know what's going to happen. We have a flight to Estonia in a couple of weeks. I don't know when this come out, but I flew to Estonia last year for Howls of Winter, great festival, underground black metal festival. The guys who run that are fucking awesome. I know them fairly well now. They are 30 kilometers from the Russian border. Everybody in Estonia. It has national service. Like they're all the men our age are military trained, fucking ready to go kill some Russians. Yeah. They are fucking chomping ready. They are fucking ready to go. And I think we have this little bubble over here in the UK. Like, it's okay, we've got Trident, we've got all these things, but like I've got friends over there, and I'm flying over there pretty soon to play the festival. Like, they're literally this fucking far away from. An ICBM or a drone strike or something popping off, and where Poland, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania just go fuck, right, and something kicks off. I don't know what's going to kick off. I don't think anything's going to kick off in the next 2 weeks. Hopefully, hopefully we get to go to the festival. Hopefully we get to go to the festival and everything's fine.
But it's what happened in Israel with all of our friends doing that festival over there.
Well, yeah, exactly.
And then literally, like my friend Christopher
from Necrozorn,
also some of the Oculus guys and the Darvaza guys. Actually, no, I think Oculus got away just in time. But basically, some of those guys got fucking left behind, So it's like it's not the unlikeliest of scenarios.
It can change in an instant. That's the point.
Exactly.
And and Estonia ain't far away. It's only a couple of hours on a plane. So that's for me is like a personal link to something that's very close to kicking off. But I mean, there's all sorts of things. There's a quantum computer apocalypse that's about around the corner. I don't know if you know much about that. About quantum computers, and I was reading about this recently. But
do tell. I know China built the largest.
I'm going to butcher it. I'm going to butcher it. But there'll be some nerds watching this who are like, "Oh, I just know what he's talking about." And no, I don't. So encryption, security encryption.
Yeah, of course.
Is supposed to take a supercomputer, like I don't know, fucking a billion years to solve or something, to get a password, an encrypted password. Google recently a couple of years ago, built this amazing supercomputer, this quantum computer, which basically can unravel that pretty quickly. And the problem at the moment is it's quite unstable. It doesn't exist to perform very well because it's like quantum chemistry, and this is the bit I have no idea about. However, that's recently changed, and they now have this fucking quantum supercomputer that can do these that can break down the walls of encryption. So that's the bit I don't really understand. But
and that's Google.
The bit that worries me is as soon as we can undo encryption, banking, messages, everything that is technological that is secured with encryption, which is probably most things, is suddenly a free for all. Yeah. So that's quite a scary thought. EMP strikes, solar flares, there's fucking all sorts of things. So I don't want to sit at night waiting for these things to happen, but like something will come around the corner. The more you learn about, the more more likely it is something like this is going to happen. I don't know.
Well, the thing with that is, I mean, first of all, if it's Google, it's not looking promising because it won't be their first rodeo.
I think it was invented and designed by Google, but I think the worry is once it
also
goes into
the problem with Google and the West is that China takes authoritarian and totalitarian measures, and they're fucking disastrous society as far as I'm concerned, and their model is the very antithesis of freedom or of a free society as far as I am concerned.
Fair.
With the social credit score systems and shit like that, it's like, Phil from Abduction said something dodgy on an interview one time. He said he's proud of his German heritage. Now your bank account's gone, and that's the kind of thing, that can happen.
Well, I'm waiting for the German heritage thing to turn around back on me.
It's
fucking
right.
Come at me, bro. Trust me.
I mean, I talk about being proud of being Persian all the time, even though I am now officially a proud British as well.
Yes, congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's
one of us.
It's actually an honor. I'm really happy to be here. No, I'm serious.
I'm not laughing at you.
Really,
I'm laughing in enjoyment.
Yeah, because I know not many people say that. Everyone's like, this UK shit. No, you got it pretty good. You just need to make sure it doesn't become shit.
We do have it pretty
good. You have it pretty fucking good here.
A lot of things going wrong with it, but overall we do have it. I had this conversation with someone at work the other day. A very young girl, I think she's like 22 or something, and she's just come out of university and just got into the world of work, and she's fucking angry at everything. Why don't they listen to me about this? Why don't they?
She's not gluing herself to the fucking tarmac.
She was complaining. I can't remember exactly what she was complaining about. And I was basically like, you are in the most privileged, free society that you could have been born in by accident.
Yeah.
Like, you have it pretty fucking good. And I explained the reasons why. And she just didn't get it. She didn't get it. And it's like, it's just age. I think this is something that comes with wisdom.
Because one of the things that I see over here that's quite concerning as well is also the rise in communism. And it's like, you always see that shit in places where people are privileged, You never hear that from people who actually grew up in those countries. Yeah. There's something to keep in mind there. It's like, okay, someone who's comfortable and already has all of these rights. It's like one of the sort of pitfalls of actually having a free society is that you get to have whatever fucking ideology you want.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
But
then, it also means that you get to have dumb ideas like that, which is just, it doesn't fucking work.
I think it's a lovely idea. I just don't think it works. But
well, there's
there's a 100 million body count to prove it. But I think it's a generational thing, isn't it? When you're younger, you want everybody to be friends and get on and share things, which is, let's be honest, is pretty much what communism is, which is a nice idea. I'd like to make sure we have to, we can share things together, but that's not how humans work, is it?
No, the way I see...
It's not how humans work. It doesn't mean we're bad humans, it means we're fucking humans.
Yeah. No, the way I see it is that, first of all, it's just an idea that is not compatible with the natural law of the universe that we live in. Think about this. No two people have the same fingerprint. How fucking crazy is that? Can you think about that? Mm-hmm. Okay. So by nature, we are not equal.
Yeah.
So to force us into that situation, all you're doing is you're actually sacrificing a lot of quality that a lot of different people have to offer, okay? But on the other hand, a lot of places where there should be perhaps maybe some kind of a punishment, or more important than that, to step back, criticism of certain types of behavior, you're kind of eliminating both of those things, which actually, if you want to have a good society, a good world to live in, you need both of those things.
Gotta have push and pull.
Exactly.
Go and ask my friends in Estonia if they want to be communists or not.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
They absolutely do not.
But I think it's a receipt of the comforts that we have over here. And for me, as someone who, and Iran's not a communist country, but it's an Islamic country. And I've seen firsthand what that does. I've seen what Sharia law looks like for women, for gay people. I have gay friends there, for trans people, for all of these different, if you will, commodities of the human race. That over here, the same people that sort of champion those things are like, oh yeah, Sharia law, yay. No, you have no fucking idea what you're talking about. These people, they will fucking kill every single one of you for thinking that way.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then some people say...
gays for Palestine. Stuff like that.
Don't get me started.
You've covered it before, I'm sure, but like, what?
It's like...
Lambs for slaughter.
Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Yeah, I always have a, you know, and I'm not saying that you're then not allowed to go and criticize what's happening there or pay attention to the conflict and the history of it, but to say that is just fucking dumb. Okay? But anyway, let me, you know, let's look at it like this. So, just on the topic of Islam, a lot of people say, oh, it's fundamentalist Islam, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, it's Islamist extremism, that's the problem. Okay, well, all those people are doing is just following the book to the T.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that the good Muslims are the ones that don't
follow the book.
Follow the book. And the bad ones are the ones that do. So how is the religion not the fucking problem then, if that's the case?
I think there are different interpretations of the book, though, aren't there? I mean, there's you'll know more about it than me, but like.
Well, I grew up with it, but tell me.
Sharia, isn't there? Or Sharia, but I mean, there's Sunni and Sufi as well. I don't really understand where it branches off, but yeah, I understand in my limited knowledge that there are different interpretations of the Quran.
And they're all shit. I'll be straight up. Listen, the difference, it's quite similar to like Catholicism and you know,
this is what I'm saying. Yeah,
Protestant.
Yeah.
It's the fact that, you know, with the Shiites, it's literally written shites. Like it's like you can't make it up, and it really is that. But it's like, you know, the reason why it's shite. I'm not just saying that to be insultive or like, you know, edgy or whatever. That's not the case at all. I grew up in that world. That's where I come from, you know, and I've seen what it did to my own mother, who's a poet and someone who's an artist. Actually, my mother's an artist, okay? And how much she was not only censored, but she had to self-censor, but then she had other people who censored themselves to block her way. When she was like writing poems and songs in English since the 80s, okay? Since she was a teenager herself. And I grew up in a world where, as a woman, you're supposed to wear a headscarf, and if you don't, they'll beat the fuck out of you because it doesn't follow the book. Now, just because there's a more free and diverse interpretation of it over here, where you'll meet someone who kind of seems normal and says, "Hi, you know, I'm a Muslim. I don't drink. I don't wear a scarf, but I also don't drink." It's like, well, you're not then following it to the full thing. And if you lived in an Islamic society, you would have to follow it to the full thing.
When I'm talking about different interpretations of it, I don't mean the kind of watered down British Muslim. That is what you're saying, which is not quite following the Quran or the scripture. I mean, I think I mean, and again, I don't know much about this, so you can probably educate me. But I mean the kind of the more hermetic types in like that live in the mountains in Pakistan that are more like mystics, you know, and there are.
Then you're going into
Islam.
That's Sufism.
Is that right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I have less disdain for Sufism.
Okay, because on the face of it, to me, that doesn't seem as bad. So, but it's equally an interpretation of the book. So, yeah, I don't know.
Well, the way I look at it is the following: is if you want to quit drinking alcohol. If you want to, which I don't drink alcohol anymore. I quit because of my own terms, not because a book told me so, but because I decided. That's fine, you know, and you're entitled to that, and I respect your wish to do that, just like you're respecting mine. Okay, and this is how we fucking make democracy work. All right.
Imagine if we all thought the same thing.
Imagine if we did.
How boring that would be. You wouldn't have anything to talk about in your podcast. This is my next guest. What do you think about this? Yeah, me too. The end.
Yeah.
Great. Next episode, same thing.
Yeah. Or like, you know, I think certain things, and I think if as a woman you choose to wear a hijab, be my guest, no problem. Or if you want to, I don't know, if you want to pray 4 times a day, I actually think praying's a great thing. I think, you know, like to play the devil's advocate or play Allah's advocate here, you know, same thing. If you want to do that, I would say praying is a good practice because it centers you and it makes you focus on something that's bigger than you.
Yeah, it's a meditation and a broadening of perspective.
And I think
as an idea, I get it, yeah.
I think even if you don't believe in it, it's still a nice practice to do, okay? And a lot of us do it in black metal bands. Sometimes we don't mean it, but sometimes you mean it. And then you have those moments on stage, you know, where you're like, it's a deep personal thing. And I'm not against that stuff. What I am against is, don't fucking tell me what to do. Yeah. Don't tell me what to do because your book said so. Fuck your book.
Absolutely.
I might follow parts of your book, and I might follow parts of other books.
Yeah.
But don't tell me what to do.
Yeah,
and
it's the absolutist approach. That's the problem.
And that's the thing with Islam. It is absolutist.
Yeah, no. I totally agree.
And people over here don't realize that. They don't realize the danger of what happens when you export that into a society over here. It's the Trojan horse. I always said Islam is the Trojan horse of Europe. Bringing that over here when Muslim parents are stopping their kids from going to certain classes. The kids already feel ostracized and kind of like the outsiders. And, you know, this also happens with Christian Science. You've heard James Hetfield's story growing up, you know, because his parents were like Christian Science people. Yeah. So he wasn't allowed to go to certain classes. And then you see the effects of that on different people. Yeah. And Islam is one that's always like, no, our way or the highway. Our way or you die. Yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's the game they're playing.
Yeah. I have lots of experience teaching Muslim children.
Tell me about that.
But it's okay. It's generally okay. I never have an issue with you know, I've had students that will disappear at lunchtime to go and pray to Mecca and in a special room with a mat. Fine, whatever. You know, if the school's going to accommodate that, it's fine. It's nothing to do with me. I don't really have anything negative to say in terms of that experience. I mean, I have. There's been a couple of occasions I've raised concerns with certain students over like fundamentalism and stuff, but that's the least of the safeguarding fucking concerns I've dealt with. You know, that's like. Somebody's just come back from Pakistan and they're behaving a bit weird with in class, whereas before they were a bit more open, now they're more reserved and they're preaching something or other. That's the least of a concern compared to some fucking horror stories that, that I've had, you know, safeguarding concerns. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't know really what we can say, but...
Well, it's a difficult one because...
I mean, fucking hell. Female genital mutilation.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I have actually, encountered.
You have?
Not encountered the mutilation, but encountered scenarios, where girls have come back from Middle Eastern countries, in particular Pakistan as well, and
Shit. So students.
Yeah, students like 13, 14-year-old girls. They've come back and they've had their labia cut off as part of a ritualistic practice. Yeah. It's fucking horrible. But there's far worse things in safeguarding, there really is. But
how can it be worse than that?
That's pretty bad, but there's fucking some pretty horrific stories. Yeah. There is neglectful stories that build over time where a student who lives in a house and I'm just trying to think of specific ones, but I'm not allowed to say certain things, but you've got children who end up shooting up heroin with their parents and things like that, and fucking child abuse scandals and things like that. With some fucking horror stories of child abuse, I know plenty of them. So, that's not part of my actual job in terms of that's not my job. I'm a teacher, but I've been in enough educational establishments throughout my career, and it's normally been in the inner city, in the disadvantaged, the pupil premiums, which is free school dinners. It's been in those kind of areas, and the behavioural areas. So, there's some fucking horror stories. It's
What's
not
the
always
sort
Islam.
of age
very,
range?
very rarely. Secondary school, only secondary school really.
Okay,
So I teach in a college now, so a bit older, but
Still not very old.
So 11 to 16 historically, and in the last couple of years I've been 16 to 25. But but Yeah, and there's certain those kind of stories, and then you have to have a meeting with the parent, you know, and you kind of just want to rip someone's fucking head off over the table because you know something and you're trying to prove something that's happened, but
evidence.
You have to be professional.
Yeah.
That might not be the purpose of the meeting. So yeah.
And if you kill him, the kid's left with no parents. So.
And my kid will be left with no parents because I'll be in prison. So yeah. But yeah, that's education. Unfortunately, it's pretty horrific in those areas.
How many years have you been doing that for, education?
I kind of did something else for a bit and then came back to it. So something like 12 years, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, on and off.
Okay.
But yeah, I managed a behaviour unit for a while. So I managed a specific area in a secondary school to deliver learning to students who can't handle the classroom. So it ends up being students with healthcare plans and diagnoses of ADHD, autism, or various other ailments and disabilities and disorders and things.
Do you feel like this is something that's gotten worse over time?
Yes, but it's a deep topic. I think.
By all means.
So there's a couple of angles with that. One, we get better at diagnosing things as time goes on. So if a child is born and there's a problem with their development, we are more likely now to spot it and diagnose it, and then healthcare and everything and education will be involved afterwards. We're more likely to do that now because we're much better at identifying things, because psychology and educational psychology has come a long way since the 80s and the 70s and stuff. But so there's an increase in diagnoses purely because of we're getting better at it. But there's also increase in parents trying to get money from the system. There's an increase in over-diagnosis of things. So what happens is in an establishment like where I teach, you end up with lots of students there who have a diagnosis of ADHD, for example. Everyone's got ADHD. You look on TikTok or Instagram. Oh, this is my ADHD. I don't have TikTok, but the
I don't.
YouTube, Instagram, whatever. And it's 5 tips.
I don't need Chinese spyware in my life. Not yet.
5 tips to help your ADHD partner, or you have ADHD if you do this. It's fucking content upon content upon content.
But it becomes an identity.
And it becomes an identity.
Yeah.
I happen to fall under the diagnosis of ADHD under the DSM-5, which is the medical journal's definition of it. But I've never been formally diagnosed, and I don't want a fucking label. I never had any of that shit in school. I'm not interested. I do not want to have a piece of paper that goes ADHD.
Yep.
Why the fuck would I want that?
I
don't want anything. I've been got to my 30s by learning things. Yes, things have been hard. Some things have been hard. Some things have been easy. But it becomes an identity. And what happens is in an educational establishment is people lean on their identities. Oh, I can't do that, I'm ADHD. I can't do that, I'm autistic. I'm sorry, you need to do this for me because I'm autistic. It's like, my job is to prepare you for the adult life, for the real world. The real world doesn't give a fuck if you've got ADHD. The rest of the world doesn't fucking care. So, suck it up.
And it's not just the real world.
And that's coming from a place of care. That's not coming from a place of, I don't give a fuck about your disorder, disability, diagnosis. It's, trust me, no one gives a fuck once you get out of this educational establishment.
But I think
so you're going to have to learn some strategies to manage yourself and be accountable for your own actions. You're going to have some responsibility. You know that if you struggle to focus, these are some things you can do. You're going to have to find those things. I will help you find them things. But what I won't do is let you lean on, sorry, I can't do that, I'm autistic.
Well, it's not just the rest of the world, but it's in the sense of other humans, but it's the rest of the world as in the actual rest of the world. You know? Just because you have a society that temporarily protects you from nature doesn't mean that you're always going to be that sheltered. You still have a law to follow in terms of the natural law of the world.
For me, it's not about protecting those labels, those disorders, ailments, conditions, whatever you want to call them. It's about supporting them. It's not about protecting. It's not about wrapping and cotton.
And to support them is to say fuck off.
To support them is
matter.
to build resilience.
Sure.
So you need to. So I will set a target where
I don't mean that literally.
I can't go to the shops by myself because I am autistic. Well, I'm sorry, but you're gonna be, in 5 years' time. You're gonna have to go to the shop by yourself. You have to learn how to do it. So let's do it. Step one, shall we? Let's look at a picture of a shop, and then in a couple of weeks' time, maybe we'll think about going to.
Do you actually have to do that?
Small, yeah. It's all kind of life skills and stuff. It's all about things.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but some people really fucking struggle with these things.
Yeah, no, I'm not. It's the realization that they do.
That's special needs. It's kind of what it is. Well, I mean, it's a broad topic. There's people who.
Sure, yeah, I understand.
But
I
the
think
students that I work with.
The thing is as well. I know is. So you're speaking from the education system perspective, but I know adults. I've seen plenty of adults. Many of whom I know personally, who will find out that they've got something, and then after that it becomes them. Yeah. They're like, oh, I've got bipolar, so everything that I do now revolves around this. How about you take some fucking accountability?
Yeah.
Like, I get it.
Yeah.
You've got something, you need to deal with it. I appreciate that, I respect you, and I support you for that.
Yeah.
But how about you take fucking accountability for it? It would be like this, Phil. It would be like, if I've never been diagnosed with anything, I'm sure I've probably got a bunch of stuff. Don't matter to me if I do. But it would be like, I get diagnosed with like depression. It's like, okay, wow, I'm a depressed person. And then I start writing DSPM because that's just what I found out, which is something, by the way, I would never do in a million fucking years. I think it's the lamest subgenre of all time.
DSPM album when, When?
But, because I'm a very positive person, I'm... I see the truth in things, so it might seem like I'm negative, but I'm actually not. I'm extremely optimistic.
Like to call it out.
Yeah. And, if you knew how, and you have to be optimistic to also be ambitious as well. That's another thing,
yes,
okay?
That's true. Very true.
And the thing with that is, I think that there is a lack of accountability, but I also do wonder, like I was saying this to my partner, and she thought, was like, okay. But I think there's something seriously wrong with humans in general. I don't know if it's because of our diet, because a lot of people think it's culture, it's social media. Yeah, those are big things. But I think that we're very detached from the soil that we would derive all of our nutrients from. We're also, more importantly, maybe detached from the sun. We don't get enough sunlight in our eyes. We don't move around a lot. And
definitely environmental factors.
We're out of touch with our natural, primal way of being. And as a result, I think that's translated into other factors in other areas, which has been building up. I think it's been building up maybe from like 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
Noughties, and then it just seems to get worse. Like, people are worse. Like, they're emasculate. Like that masculine aspect of males is gone,
right.
And for females, they're sort of like, it almost feels like, I'm having a hard time explaining this, so I'll show this to you visually.
Yeah.
You've got the masculine and you've got the feminine, and each one have their own roles. And it seems the more forward we're going in society, whether by culture or other means, the lines are getting blurred, and this thing is coming more and more to the middle. Mm-hmm. But the result of that is the breakdown of the human experience, because we're no longer capable of surviving, because we're no longer respecting our traditional roles in nature. And I think that's something that we ought to be at the very least concerned by, at the bare minimum.
I think this is the start of what you said there is very, very important. I mean, we've evolved to live in houses, to not be attached to the soil, to rely on instant gratification and parcels to our door. We don't need to try to get the dopamine anymore. We don't, like, the motivation to go and get things is the dopamine that sends you out to go and get food, or to go and get a mate, or all of that stuff is kind of skewed and fucked up.
Absolutely.
And I think one of the in terms of ADHD and autism and those particular two that I diagnoses that I deal with day to day, which I know quite a bit about, I think are actually almost a symptom of an evolutionary symptom of that environmental difference. I don't think it's an increase necessarily because we're measuring it better and addressing it better. I think there's a huge spike on the graph of stuff like that, but I think it is almost an evolutionary response to the things you're describing, the changes you're describing.
And what's weird is
that's probably quite a controversial opinion in the educational world, but I don't give a fuck. It's something I see firsthand every day and have done for years and can back up with plenty of data. But it's of course it is. Like, of course we are.
Yeah, like, it's kind of an obvious thing, isn't
like,
it?
Of course it is. We sit. Our entire free time is spent horizontal scrolling dopamine. Like, give me a hit. Give me a hit. Give me a hit. Give me a hit. Like. Of course your attention span shrinks. Of course you have a developmental problem with when you're a young child in that scenario. Of course you're going to have less focus and perhaps meet the criteria of an ADHD diagnosis. If you've been constantly stimulated from the moment you could walk by screens, sugar, lack of exercise, TV, all the rest of it. If you're constantly stimulated, suddenly you have to sit in a classroom and not be stimulated but focus on something that doesn't give you any dopamine. It's just an act of listening and learning. Of course the behaviour is a problem. It's like withdrawal. It's like, of course you can't sit still. Of course you become talking to other people, distracting, making a problem because you want to be stimulated. And that's what leads to, perhaps they have an ADHD diagnosis. It's like, well, it's fine.
That's why most people...
Fine if it meets the criteria of the medical journal, but that's not necessarily something you're born with that's an illness. It's not the same as an illness. It's a way of being, and it's partly environmental.
That's why a lot of people struggle being in a room under
Most people have a problem with that. If anybody's watching me as ADHD, they'll be like, it's not environmental. But I'm sure.
Well,
I don't give a fuck.
If you grew up eating cereal as a fucking kid, as for breakfast, that's already one of the largest environmental factors you can actually think about. Yeah. You're loading a fucking child's brain
a load of sugar
with fucking sugar and seed oils and crap in the morning.
Wondering why they can't focus an hour later in class. Like,
absolutely.
Come on, man.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But that's one thing. Which the example of cereal.
Yeah.
But now we're talking about cereal and the iPad for an hour before school.
And the TikTok.
And a phone at break time. And the vaping, the sweets. I know I'm sat here with a vape, but
porn. Bro,
porn.
You want to talk about how fucked up that is?
As you get into adolescence, it's porn. It's all about a constant dopamine stimulation. So it gets kind of skewed. Because dopamine used to be the thing that drove us to be motivated, to go and do things.
I'm glad you brought up dopamine. I think our relationship with it is a very integral...
It's completely fucked.
Yeah.
So I think... I don't see a way back, though. I don't really see a way back. I mean, you can say, yes, you need to change your diet, you need to take on responsibility, but the billions of people in this world that are that are experiencing those symptoms are not all going to do that. The society will shift that way. So I don't know what the next step is. This is what my worry is.
Yeah.
This is what my fucking worry is. What does a classroom look like when my son has kids? What the fuck does that look like? If the entire generation is a fucking TikTok generation now, what's it going to be like in 20 years' time?
I'll tell you something.
The world's fucked, man.
And the thing is as well, the idea that the world is fucked, it kind of is, but...
It's an easy grab.
But I also don't want to... I'm a big believer of egregores, and it's not an egregore I want to feed into, because I think that the news already makes enough human... the human mind is a very powerful thing.
I'm just checking the time. It's alright, we're alright.
The human mind is a very powerful thing, and you can visualize things, and then you can execute. Everything that we do is a product of visualization and imagination, not only just every song that you write or every piece of lyric or every video that you visualize in your head, but it's also every building that gets built. It's everything that you say. You know, you want to, I don't know, you want to propose to your partner, you visualize it first, then you do it. All these things that have got us as far as we are now. And I am careful about what I project my brain power and brain waves into.
Okay.
Because the idea of going around being like, oh my god, the world is fucked, oh my god, everything is ending, oh, the world is ending, I don't want to feed that egregore.
That's fair.
Okay?
Yeah.
You know, my friend Giuseppe from Fides Inversa, he was on the podcast during the first year of the show, like, so this is like 2.5, close to 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
And he said a fucking brilliant line that kind of stuck with me then. And maybe he didn't even mean it in that context, but he was like, what kind of egregore did we feed by thinking that COVID is the end of the world? Okay? And I think about that a lot because, you know, when you've got the news projecting something from screens to the brains of billions of people, if billions of people simultaneously put their thought on the same target, and if they think the same, shit happens. We can make shit happen with our mind. Just like I turned on that TV earlier, we can make shit happen with our mind, and we're just not quite aware of the power of the human mind. And the people who are trying to control the world know what to show us so that we react to it. And the frequency, we're talking about fucking quantum physics now, but that frequency of the projection of the world goes in that direction because we're all thinking it. You probably had this, you know, when you're really close with someone, like let's say with your partner, do you ever have it happen where you're thinking something and then she says it out loud?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Right. Now put that in the context of 7-8 billion people. It's on the news. Everyone's seeing it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
The human mind's a powerful thing, and I refuse to fucking think that the world is fucked. Even if it is, I refuse to think it because I am taking responsibility for myself, for the human that I am, whether it's through this podcast channel, whether it's through my bands, through my relationships, through my friendships, all of those things, to make sure at least it's better when it comes to that. Yeah. And if everyone did that, it actually would be I think it would be a better place. Don't you think?
Yeah, I do. I think, and it goes back, for me, it goes back to, I understand what you're saying.
Because ultimately it's about taking accountability.
Yes, accountability. But, and I only really give a fuck about myself, my partner and my son, and my close family. So, it's, I don't fucking care if 8 billion people are saying, oh my god, COVID's the end of the world. Like, I was like, fucking, we'll sit down and we'll write it out. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to be manipulated into some sort of mass hysteria thing. And I've fucking grown up on enough David Icke and enough conspiracy theories for the last 20 years.
We actually went to see him in Cardiff last year.
Oh, cool, okay. You know, over the last few years, for that to never ever be, I'm always going to see stuff for what it is, but or for what I think it is, you know, and you can't fucking sell me anything. You know what I mean? In fact, nobody can fucking sell me anything.
I feel that. Yeah.
There's no salesperson that has succeeded to sell me anything. Okay. Really.
Well, so you were
in the last 10 months. Last 10 years or something.
You telling me you were unsold on Tower 7?
I was what, sorry?
You telling me you were unsold on Tower 7?
I wasn't sold on Tower 7? Yeah. What do you mean?
9/11.
I wasn't sold on 9/11.
Okay.
Of course not. Of course not. I know a song about that, but I won't go to that.
I was kind of like, you know. Yeah. But please carry on. You're making a good point.
No, I mean, I'm always. It's just how I've grown up. So, but I just want to shoot guns in the forest with my family and eat the things I kill and read books and unplug from all this fucking shit and this shit and occasionally make art. It's very simple. it doesn't have to be so complicated. And I see how complicated everything is and how much bullshit I have to fucking deal with from, you know, whether it's a governmental organisation or the media or fucking black metal egos. I don't fucking care about any of that. I just want to raise a good child, which I think I'm doing a fucking good job at, to be honest. You haven't met my son, but he's fucking awesome. And
cool.
Me and my partner raise him, and then that's it. Off he goes. Because the thing that's I haven't touched on yet, which is in Razors of Occam, for example, the one we did a video for, my gran is in that video.
I'm glad you brought her up. I was going to ask you about her. Yeah.
So she died 2 weeks ago.
My condolences.
Thank you. She's the main character in that video, and she is. I'm not sure if you've seen the whole thing, but she's kind of remembering. That's the video is her remembering. And she is from where I am now, in the Peak District, in a small mill town. And she grew up on a farm at the top of the hill of the mill town, and she walked up the hill from the well, carrying water every fucking single day, from the ages of 7 to 15, something like that, carrying pails of water because there's no electricity, there's no fucking water, to feed the animals, to do all the farm stuff, and then wash and bathe. In what a wonderful romantic kind of memory of old England, right? And I know you're historically not from England, but you can see the magic in that.
It.
Yeah, and you obviously like the country because you're now a citizen. So so brilliant.
No. I really like it.
But yeah, there's a bit of a romanticism about that. But actually, what I wanted to capture in that song was the fucking struggle, the labour, the amount of times we at the start of the Industrial Revolution, where I'm from, along that river, there's a few towns along that river, and they're the first factories in the fucking world. Before China was doing anything industrial, way before the stuff in Europe, cotton, nails, textiles, things like that were all done where I am. The first fucking factories. So, like, you had this link to the rest of the world, particularly the British Empire, but in my grandma's generation, it was still just a little town, and everything was simple. Everything was hard. You had to work to wash your face. You had to go down to the fucking well and carry the water back, and then make a fire to warm the water up to have a bath. And you had to milk the cows to get a glass of milk. All of this stuff took time, took patience, took resilience, and none of us have that level of resilience. I mean, we're all working towards bettering ourselves, but that generation have some other fucking level of resilience that none of us really will ever achieve because we haven't been raised in that world. And I just kind of wanted to pay tribute to that really, because that's kind of what the song is about. It's a little bit of a long-winded explanation. So that's the past. That's where we've come from. And obviously as things get easier, we get more soft, we get more lazy, we get easier. Oh, I don't care anymore, just give me the hit. Just give me the hit. Let me see. Give me the sweets, give me the takeaway, give me the Uber. Press the fucking morphine button. Which is a real shame. I don't want that. I want to cut all that shit off and fucking live in the woods. That's not going to happen, but that's what I would like to happen. And that's it for me. That's all I need to fucking do.
I respect that, man.
Apart from go play a show in a few minutes.
Go play a show
or
in
an
a
hour
few
or whatever
minutes.
it is.
No. Phil, brother, that was fucking excellent, man. That was really good.
Thanks for having me, man.
Really,
it's
really
always
good
a
to have you back on
pleasure,
the show.
and I'm glad we made this work.
Me too.
Cool.
Lots of thinking for the audience. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I know this is just a traditional part of it, but is there anything you want to just let people know about Abduction? You obviously have.
I mean, we talked a lot about the new album. The new album is going to be everywhere, so check it out.
What's the release date?
It's February the 21st, and it's called Existentialismus, and it's out on Candlelight Records.
Great stuff. There you have it, ladies and gents. Hope you enjoyed this one and give you some food for thought. See you on the next one. Booyah.